Hi there, Cheryl here with a Thanksgiving card, and we're going to make our, oops, sorry, I bumped the camera. I have it, it's like right, almost like right under my chin. And we're going to make our own pumpkin for the front of this card, and this opens like this. Okay, so it's a little different. So let's get started on this. This is what we're going to need. We're going to need 2 pieces of, let's see, it's 5 by 7, and I used the new color Mossy Meadow on the original card, but this is always artichoke. If you have that paper left over, it's a retired paper. And let me just show you, this is the difference. This is Mossy Meadow. This is always artichoke. Very close in color. It's just a little, I don't know, a little brighter and more lively in the Mossy Meadow. So we need 2 pieces of that. And then we're going to need a full sheet of Whisper White cardstock. And from that we will be cutting this bit of lace. And that is from the Heartfelt Creations Lace Framelits. That's this one right here. I've done a lot of prep work on this. And then from their new album tags and accents, we're going to be cutting these 2 pieces right here. And that's this one and this one. And then we also need one like this. Okay. So you're going to need, actually you're going to need more than, just a little bit more than a full sheet of this Whisper White cardstock. So use up some of your scraps. And then we have 5 ovals, and these are the second to the smallest from the Layering Ovals Framelit dies. So we need 5 of those. And then using this Cut Mat Create, the A2, we're going to cut this swirly bit here, and that will be cutting from some Pear Pizzaz cardstock. And if you have a scrap big enough, use scrap. I had to cut into a whole piece. I know, isn't that terrible? I'm using my pick your tool. I can never remember this. Take your pick tool. It's a take your pick tool that Stampin' Up has come out with, and I have the small ball stylus tip inserted in it. I'll be using the Dries clear glue from Art Glitter. I'll be using Tombow glue. I need a makeup sponge, and we need 2 sponge daubers for the pumpkin pie and the Mango Melody inks that we'll be using. And that's these 2. We'll be using that for a lot of stuff. We'll also be using Mossy Meadow and Tuxedo Black. I have my flower shaping mat handy here. I have this little bitty flower punch. I believe I got this as a set of 2 from EK Tools, and it's I can't remember what they were called. The retro mini flowers, and there's 2 of them. So there's one like this, and then there's one that's fatter, but the same small size. And I had a bit of pattern paper. This was from one of the Heartfelt Creations, and I'm using that to punch my flowers out of. But if you don't have this, let's see, probably So Saffron cardstock would be a good color to use. So let's get started on the card. So I've got my Pear Pizzaz here, and I'll use my Mossy Meadow. And I'm just going to randomly sponge on here. Just to give it a little color variation when we cut our little swirly vines and leaves out. And you see, it just looks like a mess, right? Just a mess, and that's okay, because it's very little bits of this are going to get cut out, but it's just going to make that nicer. And I'm going to put that aside because I'll stop the video and go cut that out, because you don't need to watch that. I think y'all know how to die cut something. If you own a die cut machine, you've probably figured that out by now. Oh, and the sentiments that I stamped on there came from Pleasant Pheasant. And what did I do with that? Oh, there it is. Pleasant Pheasants. I stamped this on for the inside part. And I stamped that. Let me get that out. Where did that go? There it is. I stamped that pretty much in the middle, because we're gonna have to cover this up when we put our card together. And I also, when I stamp my Happy Thanksgiving, it's way over here to the right top of this die. Okay, so let's do our pumpkin. Let's make the pumpkin. That's fun. And get all those little pieces out for the pumpkin. And I need my pumpkin pie and my mango melody. I'm going to start with the mango melody. Let's see, I need to make sure I get the right sponge dauber. There it is. And I'm just going to just kind of go over all of these ovals. Again, you don't have to be real exact about this. This is not advanced sponging. Just want to get a good amount of color down on there. I like using the inks rather than just start out with the Mango Melody cardstock, because I don't know, it just makes it look more vibrant to me. And we'll get all of these done. I've been watching Hurricane Michael on the news. It's just hit up in the panhandle of my state. I live in Florida. I'm down in the southwest part, so we got a little bit of rain and a little more wind than normal, but it's really not affecting us that much. But my heart and my prayers are with the people up in the panhandle, because that's one big nasty storm. Big and bad. Alright, now we'll switch over to pumpkin pie. So if you haven't figured it out, I do my videos ahead of time. So this will be, I'll be putting this up to view like a week after the storm has hit. And we're just going to sponge all around the edge on these. I think it's easier just to lay them down and just go around the edge like that. We just want to darken that up. that gives it, see, it gives a little dimension to it without doing any shaping. Yeah, so having gone through several hurricanes myself down here, I really feel for those people. And it doesn't stop when the storm blows through. After it's done, then that's when all the cleanup starts. Usually you have no electric. If you were smart, you had got in plenty of supplies as far as things like water and food that you can heat up easily, like on your grill. That's just something I keep around all the time. And empty water bottles to fill in my freezer, because if the electric goes out, we have a generator, but if the electric goes out, you need to use, you know, while we'll have our inks out, let's do these two too. If your electric goes out, then you don't want to run a generator at night. It makes a fabulous noise. So every night everything goes off. Your refrigerator turns off, your lights go off. It really makes you appreciate having electric. Okay, so I've sponged that. I'll do this one. Same way. I know some of you up north can relate to the not having electric, because I know there's been snowstorms and things like that in the past that have been quite bad, and people have lost electric. Just get that now I'm using the pumpkin pie, just darkening that up around the edges, just the same as we did with the pumpkins, except we didn't go all the way in with our mango melody on these. Okay, so those are good. See how pretty that looks now? And what I do with the diaper white? Oh, I don't know. I'll get a new one. There we go. Wipe my fingers up so I don't get that all over everything else. Alright. And we can put our pumpkin together now. So what I like to do, I like to look at all my little pieces and decide which one. I think I like this one here the best. Or maybe that one. This one? This one. No, I'll go with this one. I like this one the best. So I'm going to put that one front and center. And we're going to put them together like this. We're going to start out. The first ones on either side of that one will have about a 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch showing. Okay. And then the next ones will have about half of that showing. So it'll look like this. Okay. And there's our pumpkin. Who would have thought it'd be that easy? Okay, so I'm going to use my designer's Dries clear glue. And I'll just put some glue on the sides of the one I like the best. And I'll put this one on. Just like that. I'll put my next one. Let's see. Right like that. Okay, now I'll turn that over. And, ooh, I went to take the lid off. It's not there anymore. Just put a little bit of glue on either side of those. And we'll just have a little bit less showing on this one. Okay. So then we just need a little stem for the top. I'm going to bring this back in. I want to make sure. Okay. So I'm going to take just a little bit here from this side here. And I'm going to just make a little curved piece. Make it a little bit smaller at the top. And cut that out. So now we have this little bitty piece like this. If you feel the need, you might want to draw it out. And before you cut, but I felt confident I could do that. And I'm just going to put my little stem right up the top there. And there's my pumpkin all set. So I'm going to go off now, and I'll cut my my viney part out of this, and I'm also going to punch out my flowers. So I'll need, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these little bitty flowers, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back now. So are you ready to get this card put together? See, I have my little viney thing done, and I'm going to glue this to the back of my pumpkin right now. And let's see, my little flower showing there and there. I want this one to actually come over the front of my pumpkin, and then this will be trailing off to the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip it over, and I'll apply a little bit of the designer's Dries clear glue to my vine in the back here, just wherever I think I can find a spot that's going to land on the pumpkin. And there we go. Now I'll flip it over. Move this a little bit. There. And just on the back of this little piece, put just a little dab of glue. There. So that'll be ready to go on the card. Let's bring in one of our large pieces of Always Artichoke, or if you're using the Mossy Meadow, and my lacy die cut, and I'm going to flip that over on the back, and just anywhere I can find some place to put some glue around the edges here. I'm going to put some glue. I'm not gluing everything. That would take forever. By the time I got half of the thing glued up, it would be dry on the first part. So I'm trying to work quickly. Okay. Now I can place this. I want that centered. Now that's in place. And we can take this bit here that has our interior sentiment, and this will tuck right in here. Look at that. It's like fits right in there. I don't know if Heartfelt Creations meant to do that, but it does. So we'll take advantage of that. And there's one side in there, and here's the other side tucked in there. There we go. So that's the inside of the card. And then this is our little flap. What we need to do with this is I want this to come in, and I want that, I just want a little bit of the lace showing here. Okay, so I'm going to line this up just like this. And I'll turn this over. Oh, it moved. Just want a little bit of the lace showing. Turn this over, and on the back, I'm just going to make a little mark with a pencil. And we're going to score on that line. So I'll bring my scoreboard in here. Yep. There we go. And we'll line that up. And we'll use the scoring blade, which is the lighter colored one. Flip it over. I'm going to score it again on the other side. And there we go. I find that gives you a nicer crease. I don't know if you've ever done that and score it on one side and then score it again on the other side. It just seems to break the fibers down a little better. Okay, so this is going to go on our card right there. But we need to put this part on. This is the slightly smaller die, so there's a little edge of this of our green showing. And I'm going to glue that in place. Now I need to have it like this. Yeah, you want your little flap folded under. Okay, so now I have a nice little border all around. You notice we have too much of this. We're going to cut that off in just a moment. Then I'm going to take this part, put some of my designer's Dries clear on the back of that. And I want to line that up nice and straight. We want this to have just a little bit of this this showing over here. And so plate that down. And we're going to flip this over. And right here, we're going to use our larger scissors. Don't use your little fussy cutting ones because you'll get a nicer cut with your larger scissors when you're cutting a long straight line. And we're going to trim that off, and you see it's trimmed off actually a little bit of the tag also. And that's exactly what we want. Now we'll bring this back in, and that's going to cover We want it so it just barely covers this part here. See, we want that covered on the top. So that's how we'll attach that. So, designer's Dries clear again. And just cover that. There we go. You notice we've got a bit of it peeking out down the bottom here. This is where our pumpkin does its job. This pumpkin's going to go right here. Look at that. It's going to go right over top of that little bit there. So just on the top half of the pumpkin, I'm going to use some more of my designer's Dries clear glue. And just dot that all up. And we'll put that in place. And remember, don't do all of it because we don't want it. We don't want to glue this all down. We want it no glue down this bottom part here. Right, that looks good. And we can add our little flowers. But first I'm going to put the back on. You see, the back of the card, that's not, I don't think that looks too lovely with this, with that, just that tab there. If that doesn't bother you, then you don't need to do this part. But I didn't like it, so I'm going to use my Tombow glue. I'm going to glue this, our second piece of either Always Artichoke or Mossy Meadow green here. I'm going to glue that to the back to cover that. And a part of me, it just bothers me that it's there and can be seen. And the other part of me says, don't look at the back of the card to see how much I paid for it, because I handmade this for you. It was handcrafted for you. Right? Do you know somebody like that? I know some people like that. The first thing they do after they look at the card, they read the card, they turn it over to look and see how much you paid for the card. Okay, so now we can put our flowers on and we're done. So here's all of our little flowers that I punched out. I'm going to turn them all over on the, so the back of them shows. I'll get my tool here, my Take Your Pick tool. And do I have my, I want my bigger ball stylus out first. And I'm just going to poke each of the petals right on the, as close to the tip as you can get. The Take Your Pick tool. I'll get that down one of these days. Actually, I have it written down on the side, over on the side here, so I remember what it's called. I want to call it You Pick It, or all different things. Okay, then we're going to, I switched to the small one. This is real easy to do too. You just slide it in and turn it, and then it's locked in place. So we'll turn all of our little flowers over. Alright, and then I'm going to give them a good poke in the center. All of our little squash blossoms. And we'll use the designer's Dries clear glue and glue those on each of these little, they're like little flower things. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and 5 flowers. So that's a good thing. And give that a nice little glop of glue on the back there. And we'll just glue one on each of those spots. And if you don't like the flowers, you don't have to put them on. I had the card all made and said, you know, it could use some flowers. So I added the flowers. Okay. And that's it. Our card is finished. So if you've liked this video, be sure to hit the like button down below. I do check those things. I also check to see if there are any comments or questions down below. So if you have any, put those down there too. And there's also a subscribe button down there somewhere. If you'd like to see more of my videos, that would be the one to hit. And as always, I'll have a list of all the materials that I've used down below, as well as where my blog and my Facebook page are. You might want to check out the blog. I put things on there sometimes that don't make it anywhere else. And that's about it, folks. So I hope y'all have a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving. This will be posted like a week after Michael hits, but still the people who live there still need prayers. And if you're a praying person, pray for those people, because it's going to be a big mess. I know. So y'all take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.